So we're going to get started on Cluster 1, Old Forest New Discovery. Please pause the video to read the paragraph if you haven't read it already. Let's start off with identifying the most important word. And for me, that was fossilized. And if you remember, a fossil is a preserved living thing or an organism that has died. Next, I'm going to underline the most important sentence. And I chose this sentence because there's literally the word important in there. Another reason that I chose it is because it mentions that scientists had a claim. So that was giving me some understanding. Next thing that I'm going to do is add another annotation. And this annotation just prevents me from going back and rereading because once I understand it, I'm going to write down what I think it means so I can just read this small amount of information. What I wrote and what you should be writing down right now is scientists thinks that it's helpful to learn how life has changed over time, and that's just a fancy word for how life has evolved. Now let's start off by first looking at the question. Again, pause the video if you want to read the question for yourself. But I first started off with annotating what was in blue. So I annotated correctly because it wants me to look for something like that is accurate, 100% true, and it's saying it's based on the model, and the model is the image. So that's telling me I can get all my information from this question based on the image without thinking about any science. Next in green, it told me one process. So I was trying to figure out, okay, let me look at all of these different answer choices and identify the processes in each one. So I've put a square or a circle, whatever you want to do on your paper, around the 4 main processes that I need to look for in the image. Next, I also have to make sure that I'm looking at how carbon is cycling or moving in the image. So let's jump to our image. And I boxed already and highlighted the 4 processes that I need to be focused on when I'm observing this. Then I'm going to start annotating each of the spheres because the question is basically asking us, how is carbon moving through the spheres? So I'm starting with annotating the atmosphere, which is the air, the biosphere, which is the living things because I see trees. Then I see water, so I'm going to annotate the hydrosphere. And then I see rock and soil, so I'm going to annotate the geosphere. Again, we want to think that in a carbon cycle model, that the arrows show the movement of carbon. So I'm going to pay close attention to where all the arrows are pointing. So let's start off with combustion. Based on our image and these annotations, let's think about how is carbon moving through the spheres during this process. So I'm going to take a look at combustion here. And if I follow the arrow, I can see it's starting from the trees, which is the biosphere, to greenhouse gases in the air, which is the atmosphere. So we can see clearly here that carbon is moving from the biosphere to the atmosphere. Now I want you to try it. How is carbon moving between the spheres during the process of photosynthesis? You should have that it's starting to move from the atmosphere, which is the air, and then we're going to follow through and we're going to see it's going to the biosphere, which is living things. Next, let's look at respiration. So how is carbon moving in these spheres? I'm going to take a look at where the arrow starts and follow where it goes. So it's starting from the tree, which is the biosphere, and moving to the air, which is the atmosphere. Next, decomposition. I'm going to start where I see it, follow the arrow. It starts from the trees, which is the biosphere, and it's pointing this way to the rock, which is the geosphere. So now that we've annotated all of that, let's start using our process of elimination to get rid of the answer choices that doesn't make sense based upon what we see. So based on this, I'm going to get rid of question number 1 because it says that carbon is cycling from the geosphere to the biosphere. And if I look here, I'm going to see that it starts in the biosphere and then it goes to the atmosphere. So I'm crossing that out. Next, I'm going to cross out question number 2. or I'm sorry, answer choice number 2. Because it says that carbon during respiration, so I'm going to look where it says respiration, starts at the atmosphere. And this is not true. In this here, we see clearly that it's going to start, based on this arrow, from the tree, which is the biosphere, to the air, the atmosphere. So I'm crossing that out. I will not be giving you the answers for all these questions. I'm just going to help you annotate it, understand it, and use process of elimination for at least 1 or 2 answer choices. So when you do your post-test alone, you can use the annotations on your paper to get the best answer. Now let's take a look at question number 2. So again, I'm going to start looking for those action things in this question to see what these people are asking me. So first I'm going to highlight claim, and this is a guess based on evidence. So this is telling me that I need to observe an image, a model, or something and gather information from there. Next, I'm going to underline where it says a rapid spread and increase of plants. So rapid, what do you think that means? Good job, kids. Rapid means fast. And we're saying a fast increase of plants. So let's think to ourselves, what do plants need to grow? And you should have water, sunlight, carbon dioxide. Now let's take a look at these images to choose our best answer. So the blurb gives us, and I already underlined it in blue, that the shaded areas on each graph identify the Devonian period. So I now must take a special look at where this Devonian period is. I want you to think, is CO2 or carbon dioxide high or low during this period? It's high. It's clearly high. It's very high. Next, let's think about what happens to plant and animal diversity in these shaded areas. So I can clearly see it starts at 0 and then it's increasing here. This is for our plants. Then I'm going to take a look at the animal, and I can also see that there is an increase over here. So all in all, what does this mean? As CO2 is increasing, what is happening to plant and animal diversity? That is also increasing. So let's go back to the question. Let's start eliminating answer choices that doesn't make as much sense. I'm going to begin by eliminating answer choice number 4, because it say low levels of CO2 during the early Devonian period promoted increase. I know that this is definitely false because we just said, based on the image, carbon dioxide during this time was really, really high. So now based on these answers, I want you to choose what you think the best answer is.